Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maximar and I'm here checking out Stay. This is a sort of adventure game, but sort of not really. Sort of puzzle game, ported by Ratalaika Games, again, because seriously, they cannot stop releasing games on the bloody Vita. Strangely enough. And there is also something else weird about this. Most of their games have been cross-buy, except not this one, because all the other versions of this game were published by P-Cube. So no cross-buy for this one, unfortunately, because different publishers. Not that much to see out here in the main menu. This bin will determine whether or not you can erase your save data. This little sun here is your background brightness. I don't remember what the lightning bolt is. Oh yeah, text speed. We're going to put that down to normal because fast actually has some problems where you'll barely have any time to actually read a sentence before the sentence fades away, before the screen fades away into another cutscene or whatever. It's really fucking annoying. You've got, God, I don't remember what this is either. Stats, so we can see all the rooms and objects that we found so far, but it isn't really us. And this here is the language. Very, very simple stuff. Now, this game has this mechanic where it detects how much time you've spent away from it, as well as how much time you've actually spent playing it. And depending on how long you spend away and when you decide to leave, apparently it has some effect on the amount of trust you have with the guy you're trying to save as part of the plot. But I haven't noticed a difference. I maxed out my trust level somehow, because I'm usually a right bastard, so I'm kind of surprised that I managed to pull that off. But yeah, apparently it just is a little weird like that. So yeah, we're just gonna go straight back into the game, shall we? The other thing I should feel the need to point out is that the game doesn't actually track the amount of time you spent out of the game properly. There's mainly stuff like, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like my sound isn't recording properly. This is worrying me. Yeah, my sound wasn't recording properly that entire time. That kind of sucks. Doesn't matter, there's nothing but like light ambient noise before that point anyway, but yeah. As you can see, since we've actually went back to the main menu, it's determined that we've decided to... Huh. That's a little bit of a bizarre glitch right there. Okay, that's staying in. But yeah, you can actually hear the sounds in the background now, but... Yeah, the game has a bit of trouble determining when you've gone away and when you've come back. You can put the Vita in standby mode, like this, for example, just having it so that you've just put it in standby mode by pressing the power button on the top of the screen. And the time away clock sometimes doesn't count up at all, and sometimes it counts up more than when you left. Like, see, it barely only got a second forward there, despite the fact that I clearly left it off for at least 5. I'm guessing it's got something to do with how long you leave it in standby mode before it actually, like, properly kicks in behind the scenes. But you can also pop back out to the live area here, and you can also pop back in, and sometimes it just doesn't keep track of it, and sometimes it just keeps track of it way more than you might expect. It's really bizarre. It doesn't work properly. And if you're like me, and you go back to the live area and put the Vita in standby a lot while you're playing games because you've got stuff to do on other things for whatever reason, yeah, they'll come back to bite you in the ass, more than likely, but we won't worry about that now. We'll just go and load back into the game. The initial loading time isn't too bad. Unfortunately, there's this really annoying loading pauses every time you're about to go into a new cutscene or when you're about to like go back to the computer or whatever. You'll understand what I mean when the game actually loads, but as for when the game actually... Bizarre. Alright. So if I remember correctly, I left off at an intermission. Or an... What did the game call it? An interval or something like that? Interlude, there it is, right. So yeah, here's the basic plot of the game, because you probably won't get what the basic plot of the game is just by looking at the screen. Basically, here's the drill. This guy here in front of us that we're watching has woken up inside a room, and he's stuck in there. And the only thing he's got in the room, well, he's got a few other things. It's not like he's just alone in there. But he has a computer, which is apparently hooked up to you, and you're the one who's going to help him out through the way. And you can see that he is typing to us right now. Eventually, we will be able to type in something and respond to him, but for now, he's just going to be talking to us like we're just a brick wall for a little while. And there are some other things going on here, like if you tap the tabs up the top there, you can see a bunch of the objects that we have available and that we found, but I don't know what these actually have to do with the story. You can't appear to use them or anything. And note he does actually keep typing in the background, so if you want to go and check your objects, you have to wait until he's finished talking. And you have a glowing button over on the left there, you can see it. And when you tap that, you can see not only his mood, which is apparently these 4 things here on the left there, which I admit that my English isn't the best, despite the fact that there's a language I literally speak every day. So I have no bloody idea what any of that means, and the game doesn't have a manual to actually say it. You can see up there that apparently we've got an emotional bond of acquaintance, and we're also apparently at the highest trust level. And I must admit, a couple of those things feel a bit weird. Also of note, you can't actually go back and read text again. There's no going back through the backlog, unlike in every chat program ever. So you can't actually go and do that. I'm not entirely sure why. So you can type out a response and say it back to him. Some of these responses will improve his mood and his trust and whatever, and some of them won't. And okay, that seems relatively simple enough. So basically the whole thing is this guy talking to himself. I mean, it is more or less that. I mean, he's talking to you, but it really does feel like he's talking to a brick wall. And here's the problem with this dude. He is a massive douche. Like, I really cannot emphasize this enough. He talks way too much. He's incredibly full of himself, despite the fact that he seems to be pretty remorseful about some of the bad things he's done in his life. And he's the wordiest bastard imaginable, and I haven't liked this guy since I started the game. He seems like the sort of person I would deck if I was around him for too long. It's just, oh man, it's just the way he speaks. It just taps a nerve. It touches a nerve that I absolutely hate being touched. It's really quite frustrating, and I'm honestly not sure why. They also have this annoying tendency to put in some typos every now and again, but they're always really obvious typos, and even when the guy seems like he's in the deepest pits of hell in terms of like his mental state, he's still more than happy to correct his typos, and it just doesn't feel right. It absolutely doesn't feel right. He's literally in this situation where someone could come along and kill him at any minute, but he's more than happy to still correct his typos on the computer. It's bizarre. I'm really not sure what's going on. Also, he found a handheld computer, which lets him walk into other rooms and stuff. But yeah, we can tell him what to do here, and chances are this will send us down a different path. So I'm guessing we should just tell him to find an exit, because we probably don't want him looking around for food in here. Chances are it'll all be dangerous. Okay, apparently he was really unhappy with that decision, and I'm guessing what that thing is down there is, saying that you've gone down a different route. Great. I tell him to be careful about finding food in a place that's probably full of things that probably want to kill him, and yet Just listen to this guy. He's a douche. Absolute douche. Fine, search the cabinets, I suppose. I don't care. Also notably, that the game also has a few typos that it doesn't seem to feel the need to bring attention to. Most of them are with your options. You notice that a couple of the things you type in, I say this with the biggest air quotes possible, things you type in have typos for some reason, and apparently I'm guessing they just went unchecked. The game's also got a couple of weird bugs in it. There was a couple of lines that came up with stay /chapter 4/string 4_10 or something like that. I still have the screenshot, and if I remember, I'll put it up on the screen right now. But it just kind of drives me nuts. The game doesn't also seem to have a bit of realism in its body. This building so far, at least one of it I've actually managed to explore, doesn't actually make a lick of sense. How does an attic somehow connect to a greenhouse with a small tunnel that you have to crawl through? It doesn't make much sense. Pizza delivery number, I suppose? Oh yeah, I'm Australian. And here he goes talking to himself again. So at any time you can leave by pressing the bottom left button, it'll take you back to the main menu. And here comes a cutscene. You'll see these from time to time. Oh, that's a puzzle, isn't it? Yep, it absolutely is. And what the hell kind of puzzle is this? Alright, might as well talk about the puzzles. The puzzles are shit. Alright, now let's be a little bit more fair to them. The puzzles control like shit. I have never played a puzzle game where the controls are this inconsistent in my life. The D-pad, right analog stick, left analog stick, touchscreen, and buttons all do completely different things depending on how the puzzles feel. It really is bloody strange. And okay, so I can rotate the pieces. I can't rotate the green pieces. I'm guessing the green pieces are the other players. What is this? Oh, and I can move the pieces too. Fair enough. But yeah, the controls make absolutely no sense, and half the time they don't even work anyway. And the puzzles themselves haven't been particularly interesting so far, except for the puzzle in the last chapter, which was an absolutely stupid puzzle. And I wish they would go down and just rethink their entire puzzle design for this, but I guess that's not going to happen. And now I have to figure out what the hell this puzzle is and what it has to do with anything. For example, right, so if I had to make a guess, I'd say those green lights say that these dudes are rotated in the right direction, and they need to be facing in that direction. I've been wrong before, but we will see, will we not? That guy's facing the right direction, so we can go there. The bloody, wait, what? Okay, so apparently the pieces lock in when you put them in the right spot. That is interesting. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I'm guessing it's going to have something to do with the puzzle pieces that are already there. So if I put him down here... No? Okay, that's interesting. Horse. There, right. And the elephant goes next to it. Then up the front we have 2 pawns. Right, okay, I'm following the logic now. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. There we go. So now that we've done that, we get to move on in the story a little. There is also some other crazy crap that happens in this game, like a wall falling apart just because the bricks are in the right place, a gigantic swarm of locusts, which was a little odd, and none of it really makes any sense, and I don't really feel like I'm getting a grasp on what's going on. So I don't feel like I'm actually getting into the story at all. God, I get it. You can stop making references to everything. I know it sounds bizarre. I really do. I know it seems a bit over the top for me to complain about the way this guy talks, but something about him, he just seems like that sort of person that... That's bizarre. He just seems like that sort of person that I would never want to actually talk to. Fortune cookies? Yeah, so at the end of each chapter, it'll tell you what you said in the one major question. And honestly, I'm not entirely sure what else. Well, I don't get what the point of this is, because in all honesty, most of the questions you get asked in the game feel like they don't really have, like... It feels like you don't get any information to actually answer the question at all, let alone, like, with any kind of sort of, you know, moral capacity or whatever. I mean, like, compare this to a Telltale game where the decisions you'd have to make were very reliant on, you know, your own moral standing. But in this game, most of the decisions you make don't have any sort of, like, moral quandary or just general idea about what you're doing. It just seems all pretty random. I don't know if it's because I'm missing something. I don't think I am, but... We'll continue on for a bit longer before we call the video off, but... I mean, there's really not that much else to see. You've seen the entirety of it. You give them a little bit of advice, you do a puzzle every now and again, and that's pretty much it. In terms of gameplay, at the very least. Dude, no. You go from bloody pitch black personality to here's Johnny in no time flat, and it doesn't work, man. They recommend that you play the game in a dark room with headphones on and having no one else in the room with you, but I just think it would make the weird shit in this game stand out more. Thought I got over that cough, but nevertheless. I think we can pretty safely tell him to not eat the cookies. He's gonna hate us for it, and I know he is. Oh no! Apparently he did like us for that one. Ugh. Okay, yeah, apparently something I did made him not trust me, but then the trust went right back up. Wrong answer? Oh Christ, what's he on about? How could I have known that? I didn't see any open box in that little cutscene at the end of the chapter. So why is there no option to just be like, open the... Why isn't there an option just to... Wait, what? Wait, never mind that cookie. Why would I... The option said open another box, right? So you think you'd press that and be like, how about we open another box to check? No, it's like, no, don't worry about that cookie, that's obviously a hint. What? Oh, now it gives me the option to open it. Fucking fine. Open it. What? This guy's a douche. He's an absolute douche. He's trapped in a fucking house, literally just going on to us about how he's getting so hungry that he might be hallucinating, and now he's bothering to tell us about the history of fucking fortune cookies. Christ, I hate this guy. I will die alone and poorly dressed. I'll give the game a little credit. That window up in the top left there is cute, but other than that, did the game just call me stupid? That's one of the things I hate about this end screen as well. They always seem to want to chide you on your decisions here. I got nothing. I got nothing. The game is literally making me feel like I've done something wrong here, so... So I'm guessing that a bad ending would be caused along something along the lines of me leaving this here for about 20 hours, because it said earlier on in the story that there was a countdown clock, counting down from 21 hours. And I am honestly tempted to do that. I want this guy to die. He is the only thing that keeps this game interesting. The entire concept about there being a dude and the only person he has to communicate with is you and you tell him what to do, interesting concept. Everything else, the choices you have, the puzzles you have to do, the personality of the guy himself, all infuriating. Cool concept, executed really poorly, not recommended. This has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.